What happens when a simple prank turns into significant legal issues? This video, or the purpose of this video, is kind of to divulge a little bit deeper into the crime of criminal mischief here in Indiana and understanding what's about to come. Here at the Marc Lopez law firm, we are dealing with criminal mischief cases constantly. And the reason for that is criminal mischief is something that can be charged relatively easily. Again, it's a simple prank that could then turn into some significant legal consequences. So what actually is criminal mischief? Well, criminal mischief is recklessly or knowingly or intentionally damaging or defacing the property of someone else without their consent. So back when I was in high school, long ago, football players, basketball players, it was always part of tradition, so to speak, to TP someone's house. Okay, so you would go throw toilet paper on trees, not a big deal. Well, guess what? That's a crime. So criminal mischief in Indiana can be a lot of things. It could be as simple as toilet papering or TPing a house, throwing an egg at someone's car. Now, I'm not sure in today's economy that that's a good idea, seeing as each egg is going to cost you about $8. But what else could it be? Well, I mean, it could be a scratch on a car. It could be you got mad, you threw a stick, you threw a rock, and it breaks a window. Those are all examples of what criminal mischief in Indiana can be. It could be as simple as slashing tires. Criminal mischief can cover pretty much anything if you really think about it. Again, you might not be trying to create this major damage issue, but as long as you do something knowingly or intentionally to deface someone else's property and you do not have that person's consent, that in Indiana is criminal mischief. So criminal mischief kind of starts out as a B misdemeanor in the state of Indiana. A B misdemeanor is punishable by 180 days in jail and a fine of up to $1,000. Not to mention some of the collateral consequences that can come from any type of conviction for criminal mischief. So realistically, on top of any potential jail sanction or any potential fine, you could be looking at some classes that you would have to take, particularly related to anger management. Community service is another big option. Also paying restitution for any type of property you damage. So if you TP a house and it takes someone a significant amount of time or damages a tree or kills the grass, you're liable for the damages to that property. You slash someone's tires, you're liable for those tires if you get convicted of criminal mischief. Now, criminal mischief can kind of elevate pretty quickly. So if you damage property and the value is at least $750, but it's less than $50,000, then you're talking about an A misdemeanor. Penalties for an A misdemeanor, 365 days in jail, $5,000 fine. And again, we start talking about some other collateral issues that would come in. It's particularly related to, again, the restitution, community service, classes. As it starts elevating in severity, the punishment you would see coming back from that is going to also kind of reciprocate with that. So you're likely to do more for an A misdemeanor than a B misdemeanor. And if it gets to a level 6 felony, so if that damage exceeds $50,000, or if it creates substantial interruption to utility services that are rendered to the public, that's going to be a level 6 felony. Now, once you start talking felonies, you're starting to talk a whole different ballgame. Felony 6, you're looking 2.5 years in the Department of Corrections and a $10,000 fine. But more importantly, you're facing felony charges. The collateral consequences for a felony are significantly different than they would be for a misdemeanor. If you're under felony indictment, you can't possess a firearm. If you do, it's a felony. If you're convicted of a felony, you cannot possess a firearm at that point. You are an improper person. So there are collateral consequences, even that could affect your potential right to vote. What would raise it to a felony 6? Another example is a damage to public records or a law enforcement animal. So if for some reason you were to spray paint a police dog that's chasing after you, that's technically a felony 6 criminal mischief charge. So there's a lot of ways that this can actually be elevated. Criminal mischief in the state of Indiana is absolutely no joke. It is important that you always get out in front of everything to help try to minimize the consequences we've been talking about. Again, if you're looking at things such as, felonies, your collateral consequences significantly greater. And the worst part is if you have history, it makes everything much more difficult when it comes to felony convictions, trying to get those reduced in the long run. So it's very, very important that we get out in front of any potential criminal mischief activity or any criminal mischief charges. I know a lot of this sounds terrible, but there are a lot of defenses to criminal mischief. Number one, you have good faith that if damage to the property in foreclosure, let's say, for example, you're trying to help the bank get a property back up for resale or something to that effect, and you're trying to fix something on that property, but that creates additional damage. Technically, that could be charged as criminal mischief, but in that situation, you would have a good faith defense. Hey, I was trying to fix this for someone. There's no intent there, basically. Yes, I was knowingly committing these improvements and whatnot, and yes, something went awry. As I was loading in a piece of wood, I broke out a window. That's a great defense, a great example of a defense to criminal mischief. Another one is that you believe you actually had a right to the property. Remember, criminal mischief requires the knowing or intentional defacing of property that belongs to someone else. So if you have good faith belief that the property actually is yours, then there's no criminal mischief. You can do whatever you want to your own property within reason. Of course, if you're screaming and beating down your car, that's disorderly conduct, a completely separate crime in the state of Indiana. But if you have good faith belief that the property that's being defaced is actually yours, that is also a defense or potential defense to any criminal mischief charges you may be facing. A lot of people say, hey, Matt, I'm charged with a misdemeanor criminal mischief. Even felony 6, but my history's not that bad. Do I really need an attorney? The answer is absolutely yes. You 100% need an attorney, not just for criminal mischief. I make the argument you need an attorney for any criminal offense that you are facing. Why? Well, because your case is being prosecuted by a prosecuting attorney. That attorney went to law school. That attorney has been practicing in that particular jurisdiction for a while now. So they understand the legal intricacies of the system itself, and be quite frank, a lot of times they will take advantage of unrepresented people because they don't necessarily know the best ways to fight these criminal mischief cases. And that's true across the board with all types of criminal cases. But particularly criminal mischief, they being the prosecutor might offer you something that seems great. Hey, I'm not going to go to jail. I only have to do a bunch of community service and I have to pay back a ton of money. Sure, not a problem. But how are they verifying that restitution, the money you have to pay back? Is it just the other party saying, hey, this is what I think it's going to cost me? Is there any type of hard paperwork saying, hey, here's an estimate? For example, you slash someone's tires. Is there an estimate? Is there a receipt saying I went to X place, I got these tires, and this is how much it costs? Are they making improvements beyond that, what is necessary? Hey, there's some damage to the front end, but I got my entire car fixed because I had some damages on the back. So that's all outside the scope of what they'd be able to recover. And that's something not necessarily a normal person who hasn't gone to law school, an unrepresented party, would not understand. So having an attorney by your side throughout the entire stage of a criminal mischief charge is extremely important, because then you are sending a message to the prosecutor that you take it seriously, and then you're not going to lay down, and you're not going to let the state of Indiana or the prosecutor or anyone for that matter take you for a chump. Again, here at the Marc Lopez Law Firm, we are dealing with these types of cases constantly. People believe, hey, I'm just doing a simple prank. No harm, no foul. I threw some toilet paper. I accidentally broke a window. Or maybe not so accidentally. We see in heat of argument cases and things of that nature, things get out of control. We understand that. But what we want is for you to have the best representation possible. And with dealing with these cases on a constant basis, I am confident that we will be able to help you or anyone you know that is charged potentially with criminal mischief. Again, don't be taken for a chump and try to do this by yourself. Odds are you're going to be taken advantage of some way or another, whether it's showing up to court on a monthly basis, taking time away from family, taking time away from your job, whether it's the punishment being a little bit harsher, because be quite honest, a lot of times, hey, this is going to keep me out of jail, I'm in, but not necessarily understanding the ramifications of what you're actually agreeing to. And we get calls about that all the time. Hey, I didn't realize my agreement with the state caused for X, Y, and Z. I just thought I had to stay out of trouble and I'd be fine. Now they're saying I have to do all of this. Do not fall victim trying to do this by yourself. Give us a call at the Marc Lopez Law Firm, 317-632-3642. Let us take the fight for you so we can work on getting you the best possible outcome when dealing with criminal mischief cases. And remember, if you find yourself in a situation like this, always plead the fifth.